Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. So I've got a couple events coming up for folks that are in the San Diego area or folks that want to travel in to see me. On the 9th of August, I will be participating in the San Diego Astrological Society bazaar that they have. And it's really a volunteer event where people can come in and get either tarot readings or astrology readings or combinations of things in that area, the metaphysical area, on that day. I'll put all the details below in the text box here for you as a reminder. But if you did want to come out and meet me, feel free to do that. I'm also going to do another event on the 13th of September. Again, I'm going to put the details here. Again, at the San Diego Astrological Society, where I will be giving a lecture and talk on Mercury, Venus, and Mars retrogrades and what they mean and how you can look at them from your standpoint as well in your chart. I will be recording that as a video, and I'll post that on my site at some point in September too. But feel free to come and support the San Diego Astrological Society and say hi to me too. I look forward to that. So thanks for joining me today. This is my video. It's going to be a shorter than usual video, but this is for the astrology. And then subsequently I'll do your horoscopes for your sun signs and or ascendants. But this is for August 2024. And I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. This is the first time that I'm not going to be doing the moons in chronological order because the most important moon of the month is going to be the full moon in Aquarius. So I'm going to talk about that first, then we'll dive into the new moon that starts at the beginning of the month. I'll give you a peek for September, and then towards the end of this video, I will give you your own personalized, from a general standpoint, your sun sign and or your ascendant. You can certainly look at both. So let's go into it. So here we have this full moon in Aquarius. It will be at 27 Aquarius, 15 minutes on the 19th of August at 11:26 AM Pacific Daylight Time. Now, we are going to have a Mercury retrograde still occurring around this time. In the USA, as of right now, the Democratic National Convention is slated to start on the 19th of August in Chicago. And so I would say there's going to be some big surprises going on here for sure, because we have actually two T-squares going on, which means that there's a number of squares themselves, right, that'll be affecting this day. And typically I've found, or historically with either clients or just, in the mundane universe or world, a lot of times these things that are going to happen that are, say, explosive or unexpected out of the blue can happen before the full moon itself. Yeah, and I'm thinking that that may happen, whatever is going to come out of this may first start showing itself around the 14th or 15th of August. I'll touch on that in a minute. Let's get back to this full moon. And so at this full moon, we have the moon in Aquarius, and then of course, as with all full moons, we have the sun in the opposite sign, and that's of course 27 degrees of Leo. So both the moon and the sun form a square with Uranus, almost exact in Taurus. We have the sun also conjunct a Mercury retrograde. And so then we know that if the sun conjuncts this Mercury retrograde, it is going to be opposite the actual full moon itself in Aquarius, right? The other things that we have going on are Mars is going to be conjunct Jupiter, and they're both in Gemini. Just straight off to have that. It is part of a grander T-square, but just the Mars conjunct Jupiter is, like, I would say, off the charts. Messaging, talking, arguing, and it could be quite loud. Jupiter expands everything it touches. Mars likes to put in action and movement forward. These both are being conjunct in Gemini, which really speaks to any kind of communications of any sort. Could also apply to writing. And it can also apply to thinking too, where people, their heads are going to be, really active and wanting to put action into their words. So there's a lot of this that's going to be going on as well. We also have this Mars conjunct Jupiter squaring off Venus in Virgo. So what this also says to me, not only is there going to be a lot of, spontaneous is the best word I can come up with, discussions and arguments, but you're also going to have it not jibing with information, important information that comes out at this time that, you're being asked to look at. And this could just apply across the board in anything. Now, Venus can represent females too, so it could be that there will be some important female here that has some difficult but true and significant and important information for us to look at, right? Because that Venus is in Virgo, and Virgo represents facts and information, very much like the sign of Gemini and Mercury, which rules both those signs. But Virgo is more intent upon getting the accurate information, the important information. Gemini says, just give me information, right? Now, at its best, this can bring in or usher in, you say on an individual level, a lot of socializing and a lot of communicating, right? It can bring that in too. But it seems to me, on a global level, that there's going to be some hard facts and information brought to light that people aren't going to like, and they're going to push back on this day. And we also have that Mars conjunct Jupiter squaring Saturn. And as I mentioned, these combinations of planets forms what's called a T-square, which brings even more tension to the squares themselves, right? And so now we're looking at this volatile energy of Mars conjunct Jupiter squaring Saturn. And so it's the rules and regulations that are going to be challenged here, right? And this could actually be a challenge to those people that are in authority as well. My opinion of this whole full moon. It's going to be very volatile, a lot of unexpected things happening. It doesn't mean that you're going to go hide away from it this day. I think a lot of these things are going to be playing out on a global level, not necessarily with us in terms of a personal, individual thing happening. But certainly if you've got something, say, around 27 degrees of Aquarius and or 27 degrees of Leo, you could expect some kind of unexpected shift and change for yourself, right? And maybe that's going to be positive for some folks. All right, let's dial back now to the new moon in Leo. So to all my viewers and my clients that are Leos, this is your official new moon, the new start to the year. Congratulations and Happy New Year to you. So that new moon in Leo is at 12 Leo 34 minutes on the 4th of August at 4:14 a.m. and that's Pacific Daylight Time. So that would be early morning on the East Coast. We have the sun and moon, which are together. We'll have a wide sextile to Jupiter, which is going to be at 15 degrees of Gemini. And so this lends itself to lovely opportunities to expand the way we think, expand maybe something to do with our communications. Just new starts, generally speaking, right? So also at that new moon, we are going to have Venus at 29 degrees of Leo will be widely squaring Uranus. And so when we look at that 29 degree mark or degree point, it really brings a lot of the energies of the sign together at that time. And so here we're talking about what? Anything Venus. This could be literally women. Women, rising up. It can have our values being challenged. It can also bring in things like money Venus is also money as well. And so all these could be up for some kind of tension and challenge at this time, unexpectedly, with the Uranus square to it, right? Now, the other thing that's going to be happening, of course, is the same day that we have this new moon, we have Mercury going retrograde. It will be happening at 9:57 though p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it will go retrograde at 4 Virgo and 6 minutes. It will go direct later in August at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So really, realistically, we are looking at a Mercury retrograde for the whole of August on top of everything else, right? Yeah, so this Mercury retrograde is in 2 signs. We start off with it in Virgo, and as I mentioned earlier, Virgo is all about service. It is about collecting information that's important. It can also have something to do with health as well. So it starts off with that. And then it goes retrograde back into Leo, going direct at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So these are different energies now that the Mercury going direct will be at. So here we're talking about, at its best, the ability to start having fun. I mean, for sure, Leo is very much a sign that likes to have fun. It speaks to things like royalty. So there may be some big announcement that comes through royalty. I know I mentioned this last month too, but this could be the time where there's some announcements here about this. It's creative projects. So on an individual level, if you've got, say, these degree points tying into your chart, it could have you under some big discussions about contracts. Maybe there's going to be some folks that'll get some creative project completed at this time too. All right, so when we go a little bit forward now, almost mid-month, so this is the 14th and 15th of August, we have both Mars and Jupiter at 16 degrees of Gemini. Well, that, as you recall, 16 degrees of Gemini was where we had that whole new moon that was in Gemini at 16 degrees of Gemini, right? And that was back, let me just get the dates for you here. Yeah, that was back on the 6th of June. So something is going to be, if you've got this degree point, so we'll say 15, 16, 17 degrees of Gemini, or even the opposite sign of Sagittarius, you're going to have something activated here again. So whatever new thing came up, say towards the beginning of June this year, 2024, there's going to be some real big activation. I mean, Mars and Jupiter together can bring, fortunate action. So there might be some folks that have this degree point in their chart, where maybe you've been waiting around for a couple months to have something move forward in this new area. Now, typically we're talking about, this could be writing, communications of any sort, so maybe waiting for some communications. It can also entail, things like contracts as well. But I think this may also be this mid-month point. Maybe some kind of thing happens with regards to more action being taken out with regards to communications. Maybe even like Jupiter sometimes can also exaggerate. So there could be a lot of exaggerations that go on. That gets inflammatory, right? The inflammatory part is the Mars. So watch out there for that 14th, 15th of August. If you've got anything in your chart, like I mentioned, there's a combination of events here. But exaggeration on the world stage could be at an all-time high. All right, folks. When we look at September, get a little peek there, we have our first eclipse. Yeah, believe it or not. That first eclipse is going to be at 25 degrees of Pisces. Now, I did do an actual video on this. I'm going to put all the links below. But it also suggests potential themes or subjects of interest that may really start coming into view once we have those north nodes go into Pisces, which is going to be mid-January 2025. I've done a video on that too. North nodes in Pisces, link below. You might want to take a look at it. So just observe what comes up around this time at this eclipse. It's around 17th, 18th of September. I'll cover it obviously in my next video. We also have a new moon that's going to be at 11 degrees of Virgo. Pluto at this time goes to 29 degrees of Capricorn. And that was going to last till mid-November 2024. Pluto staying at that 29 degrees of Capricorn. And it'll be for the final time, it'll be at that degree point for our lifetime, right? Because Pluto is a very long cycle of about 250 years. All right, let's move on and take a look at your ascendants and or your sun signs. I suggest you look at both, but whatever resonates with you works for me. All right, so Leo. Leo, this is your new moon, right? And so if you actually have something, say your ascendant or your sun, at 12 degrees of Leo, this could be whatever new things start for you here could last for your whole year. So we know that this new moon is in your first house. So it's all about you, Leo. And of course, Leo's very much into it being all about you. The only fly in the ointment, Leo, is that you've got this Mercury going retrograde the same day as the new moon. So, okay, this could play out different ways. It could work out very positively for some Leos that say get a new start. Let's just say it's in a creative project or some way of you expressing your authentic self more genuinely. It can also mean a potential new love coming in. Children could come into the mix as well. But with the Mercury retrograde part, if say you do have some kind of new creative project being given to you or you developing, the Mercury retrograde could just have you going behind the scenes, gathering specific pieces of information or communicating with people effectively before starting this actual creative project that you were awarded, right? And so I would say that's the best way to potentially use this, is just use it to gather information, to communicate with people, to get more information that you need, or maybe even more direction, or maybe you've got to give more direction. That's a good, because this whole Mercury retrograde kind of lasts for almost the whole time period, right, of August 2024. But notably, you know, it does go direct at 21 degrees of Leo. So if by chance you also, Leo, have something at 21 as well as 12 degrees, this could be a big month for you with regards to careful planning to do with expressing your authentic self, getting involved in a creative project, having something to do with potentially children, and as I said, even maybe starting some new episode or chapter of your love life as well, right? Now, when we look at that full moon in Aquarius, we know that it's opposite to you, right? It's now highlighting your 7th house. And the 7th house, generally speaking, is just other people. It's like you're sitting here, and then there's all those people over there. It's that setup that we're talking about when we look at your 7th house, Leo. So this could bring up things like any kind of partnership, business partnership, marriage partnership. Clients can be in the mix here. Any other could be something where you have to wrap something up or something is wrapped up for you. Now, it's a pretty volatile full moon for sure. So there could be some unexpected twists and turns with regards to something to do with that 7th house, right? And so this could play out various ways. You know, you also have at that full moon, we have that Jupiter conjunct of Mars as well, right? And even at that full moon, we still have a Mercury retrograde, right? And that's going to be opposite the moon conjunct the sun at that full moon. So I would say, you know, just have any kind of dealings with other people, Leo. Just make sure you have all your facts and information lined up, that you've crossed the T's and dotted the I's with any kind of partnership type thing that you're entering into. You know, maybe even get someone to do a second look at whatever it is that you may have people come back and confront you about. And I mean, this could play out as, you know, something small, something large, but it really does pertain, I think, back to getting all your facts right and information right And you will have assistance with that, with the Jupiter conjunct Mars, right? It's like fortunate action is Jupiter conjunct Mars at that full moon, right? Yeah, and so when we look at that whole Mercury retrograde going direct, and that's going to be on the 28th, I believe, 28th, yeah, the 28th of August. Look to the latter days of August, Leo, for any kind of miscommunications being cleared up. You maybe getting contracts signed, you finishing off maybe a big creative project that's tied up at that full moon, and then you're able to put the information out there towards the end of August. So I guess overall, Leo, don't expect to have all these things sorted out in whatever project you're given your way, anything to do with a child or children of some sort, anything to do with potentially new starts in your love life. Just ride through the month is what I would say, and look towards the end of the month of things getting resolved, right? One step in front of the other. But that new moon in your sign could bring some fabulous stuff in for you. Just expect that with that Mercury retrograde happening that you may have to go back and look at the details. So look at the details carefully. In what? Any communications that you give or are given to you, contracts of any sort too. All right, Leo, good luck and take care of yourself. So Virgo, that new moon in a Leo is going to be in your 12th house. And we know that there's a Mercury retrograde going on the same day, right? Almost for the rest of the month of August. The best way to use this, because we're really talking the 12th house is things going on behind the scenes. This is really you just taking that Mercury retrograde and collecting the information that you need, working hard on maybe a project behind the scenes, not necessarily bringing it to light. Bringing it to light may happen around the full moon. Will be in Aquarius. Now the full moon in Aquarius is a bit fractious. There's a lot of unexpected energy afoot at that full moon, and it is in your 6th house. So this says to me, if we just relate this to work, the 6th house is your day-to-day job. If you are retired, it's what do you do day to day, right? It's also the house of service too. And so this could be that all those things, Virgo, that you were doing behind the scenes and putting new starts into place at the new moon in Leo, comes to some big fruition, conclusion at the full moon around that 19th of August. Because we've got that tie-in with the 6th house, which is your day-to-day job. But this could also say that new moon for some Leos has you negotiating a new job that allows you to express your authentic creative self. And that's what's going on at that new moon. And then at the full moon, you get the opportunity to sign off potentially on a new job. Now, you're still going to have a Mercury retrograde happening at the full moon. So it might be good if you can just delay it till, say, the 28th, the 29th of August, which is when Mercury will go direct. Yeah. So this whole setup for this month for you, I think, is you working behind the scenes, doing things behind the scenes. It could even have you working, with the metaphysical world, shamanism, that sort of thing. But it could also have you just cleaning stuff up that needs to be cleaned up, right? I mean, the sign Leo really likes to be in the open and people to see them. It's like the king or the queen. And so you're kind of putting the king or the queen behind the scenes. And maybe you are the power of the throne, but you have to keep it in the background for right now. All right, Virgo, take care. So Libra, that new moon forms a sextile with you and involves your 11th house. Straight off, this could be you having opportunities to have fun with maybe new friendships, maybe the groups that you belong to. Maybe there's something happening the first part of August to do with the groups that you belong to. Maybe some friends are going to be putting on a big summer party that you're going to go to that revolves around this new moon. Certainly, it's just going to give you opportunities to do all sorts of things like that. We do have the Mercury retrograde happening the same day, just a bit later. So there could be some miscommunications that come up. So, if you are either putting together some fun party or some fun event of some sort, or you're going to one, or you're being invited to one, make sure you've got all the details of it, is what I would say. Something as simple as that. Now, the 11th house can also, refer to your hopes, dreams, and wishes. So there may be some Librans that are given an opportunity to make some hope, dream, or wish come true for themselves. And this could be tied into Leo-type things. Well, what are those? At the top of the list is creative projects. At the top of the list is expressing your authentic self. And maybe your friends or groups you belong to are going to aid you in that, right? Just make sure you check all the details. And if you're signing any contracts at this time, the Mercury retrograde's happening that day of that new moon, so just check all the details. The full moon is going to be trining your sign. So a trine is always beautiful, favorable energy, and it's going to involve your 5th house. So, and what's interesting is Leo rules the 5th house. We talked about that new moon in Leo to begin with. And so this is just bringing in some kind of wrap up with regards to 5th house matters. This could involve children. Maybe there's a decision here towards the end of August that, your child gets accepted at a university or decides to go to college or leave home. That type of thing could happen. Or just some maybe start for that person, right? It's a wrap up, so it's some kind of conclusion that's happening here. And or ending. So this could also see some Librans wrapping up a big creative project that they've been working on maybe for a while. That may even give them, some kind of spotlight on them, right? Because don't forget, at that full moon that's happening in Aquarius, the sun is going to be in Leo, right? And Leo is all about, look at me. But certainly there's some wrap up there. Now, on the other hand, it could be some big unexpected wrap-up with regards to a love affair. And typically, I would say, with all the setup of the transits here, the aspects, this could be an ending of a love affair for some Librans. But there could just be some unexpected turnaround. Uranus is kind of, in my mind, almost like an eclipse energy, where it's, it's a wild card. It can go this way, it can go that way. But it's a trine, Libra. So whatever is going to play out for you at that full moon, it's going to benefit you, right? And even though it's a full moon, because we've got that trine, there's a big element of Uranus. I mean, there could be just unexpected changes and conclusions that happen with all 5th house matters, right? But the biggest thing for me that I see for most Librans, it's going to be a tie-up of some kind of creative project of some sort. And when we look at that full moon in Aquarius, it can be social media, for instance, as well. Maybe you finally get everything all set up and the last piece of the puzzle unexpectedly comes in and poof, you've got it all done. Take care, Libra. So Scorpio, that new moon in Leo squares your sign, but also the full moon squares your sign too. So, squares just bring in some challenges. It doesn't mean you can't overcome things. It doesn't mean the whole month of August is going to be negative for you. It might be just that, kind of like playing a chess game. Maybe initially there's something that doesn't look good to you, but you move a piece. And by moving that piece, you gain the advantage. That's how I see this August for you, by the way. Now, the areas of life we're talking about these squares are in with both moons. The first month, the new moon in Leo, is going to be squaring your 10th house. The full moon in Aquarius will be squaring your 4th house. So there's going to be some Scorpios that have some challenges in their career, reputation, social standing with that new moon. So it's like you're starting this new start, and maybe you're going to be kind of featured in some way. Almost like maybe a little bit of a celebrity type thing where everyone gets to see you. But it's a challenge for you because you're not one of these people who likes to be in front of the limelight, in front of the cameras. and you're finding it a challenge, and you're having to work on that. And I would just say, if that is the case for some Scorpios, seek out someone who's an expert in that area that can help you, right? Yeah, I'm seeing as a general thing with that square for some Scorpios is difficulty getting on the stage and being seen by other people. Now, that could be just metaphorical, right? It'll be individual for each of you Scorpios. It could also be this new start that you have is in this big creative project, and you're realizing you need some more skills here, that you're lacking in some skills to be successful in that new start. And again, we're talking about your career here, right? Now, there is a Mercury retrograde that same day, so certainly, let's say there is a Scorpio that's starting a new job here. Do a double or triple check of anything to do with contracts, any agreements that you put in place. Completely understand what the job entails of you and what you can give in return, and see if there's any, holes that are there or skill sets that you may not have that you need to also get, right? And this may be easily done. Just put some effort into it. Squares just say you got to put some effort into it. That's it. It doesn't mean things aren't going to play out for you, right? But if there are some kind of miscommunications happening, or you're still working out the details of a contract, I would really look towards, at the very least, the 28th of August to get everything cleared up. So don't get frustrated, Scorpio. Just do your part of it. Follow up with the details. Get them sorted out, and look to the end of August as things getting sorted out. Now, that full moon in Aquarius, as I said, it affects your 4th house. So now we're talking about your family, in particular your mother, right? The home that you have, your childhood home. So this is saying to me, this could play out so many different ways, and it could be just to do with, say, some kind of unexpected thing happening with regards to your family where you have to step in and handle it. And it could be something like maybe your mother has to either come and live with you because of some unexpected thing happening, or you have to put her in, say, an assisted living situation. And the onus is on you to take care of the details and get that done. Yeah, it's certainly, that full moon's going to usher in some unexpected things. I would just do your best to do your part of how you can handle the situation. Now, for those Scorpios that say are selling a house or buying a house, because that 4th house also represents your own home, right? It could just have unexpected things happening that you can't plan for. So again, just look at all the details that are involved in, say, buying a house or selling your house, right? And make sure you've done your due duty to understand all those details, right? I mean, the other thing that this could have happen is unexpectedly, someone in your family has to live with you. And say you don't have a big enough house to accommodate someone else, but it's kind of an urgent situation that this person has to live with you, and you've got to sort the details out, right? So that sort of thing can happen for some Scorpios too. Just put the effort in, Scorpio. And I would say seek out, that Aquarius is so there's social media. Look to social media for some solutions for yourself too, right? They may be right there for you. Take care, Scorpio. So Sagittarius, that new moon, is in a fellow fire sign of Leo. And so that's forming a beautiful trine, and it involves your 9th house. So this could turn out in a few ways. The 9th house really is a big catch-all of a whole bunch of areas of life. It could be something as you're called up for jury duty, for instance, and you have to start jury duty. That's part of the new moon at that time. It could also be that you get approved to do an advanced degree. It could also be a time that you get this fabulous chance to travel, or that foreign people or foreign lands are really highlighted favorably for you. Remember, it's a trine, right? So it's all energy that's working for you in a very positive way to bring a new start. The only fly in the ointment is there's a Mercury retrograde happening the same day, just a few hours later. And so I would say that, and I'm saying this pretty well for all signs, If you're having to sign contracts, if you're having to make decisions that involve you signing something or agreeing to something in some kind of communication, maybe even just in a form or something over an email or even on a phone call, make sure you truly understand the details. The trine is really going to bring in positive energy for you. The Mercury retrograde may just have you having to go back in the month of August, maybe having signed something at the beginning of August and having to go back and maybe add an addendum or something like that. And you have to work through that to get this addendum on throughout the August, culminating in a final thing around the 28th or so of August when Mercury goes direct. But it could also have this new start. Maybe you're going to work at let's just say you're going to go work at a university as a teacher or something connected like that. And the Mercury retrograde has you going back and putting together some sort of prospectus of some sort. Your rubrics are put together. The whole course outline is done. Perfect way for you to use the Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde does begin in Virgo, but it goes back into Leo and goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo on the 28th of August. So yeah, I would say that's the best way to use that whole Mercury retrograde at that new moon. Yeah. Details. Check into the details and you should be absolutely fine with that beautiful trine energy for you, right? But it could be some Sagittarius going on a fabulous trip. And if you do, have fun. So the full moon in Aquarius sextiles your sign, and it involves the third house Sagittarius. And so this is bringing in opportunities, with regards to third house things. Third house things at the top of the list is communications of any sort. Writing opportunities could come in. Now the writing opportunity may be an opportunity to finish off some writing, finish off some kind of communications, finish off a contract. There may be an element of social media here because this is Aquarius, right? There may even be a humanitarian aspect to this too. That's very much Aquarius. But there's going to be some unexpected things, unexpected opportunities coming in here that you almost can't plan for. I'm making this getting towards the end of July. And so it's difficult to forecast exactly what this will be. But hey, with the sextile, I said, you're going to be given opportunities, unexpected opportunities coming out of the blue here, right? Now, it can also bring in unexpected opportunities with interactions with your siblings and or your neighbors, your neighborhood too, right? That could also be up for you as well. Third house is also, short journeys of some sort. So we're saying like around your city, your province, your state. Opportunities could come up unexpectedly for you here too, right? All right, Sagittarius, I wish you the best. So Capricorn, that new moon in Leo is in your 8th house. The full moon is in your 2nd house. The 8th, 2nd house axis is the axis of money. So August is going to be all about money for you. And the new moon in Leo happens the same day that we have a Mercury retrograde in your 8th house. So the 8th house really has to do with shared resources. It's taxes, it's your credit cards, it's your mortgages, any investments that you have. And so it's saying there's going to be a new start here. But we have a Mercury retrograde happening a few hours later, same day as that new moon. And so, as I've been saying throughout this video, just look to the details. If you're, say, changing up your 401k, look very carefully at the details of what it means when you're going to change up, say, something, a new start with regards to that. You may be taking some new advice, for instance, from a financial advisor. Well, just make sure you look at the details. How much is he going to be paid or she going to be paid to help you do this? Right? So just look at the details is what I would say. It may also have you hammering out details for the month of August with regards to something 8th house related, right? And this could be anything from, a severance package, maybe for some Capricorns, to anything to do with changing up your investments. it could be, if there's some Capricorns that will be retiring. This is where your retirement money is, the 8th house. So the month of August for some Capricorns may have them working out the details for a new start, leveraging their 401k, their pensions, their investments, so they can retire. Yeah, and that Mercury retrograde could turn out really well for you, Capricorn, if that's the case, because it'll allow you to go back and get all the facts correct. You use the Mercury retrograde to get all the details correct and literally correct things, put things in place, or literally get information that's important for you to make decisions there. When we look at that full moon in Aquarius aspecting your 2nd house, this could be straight off you unexpectedly, Capricorn, quitting your job. It's a very powerful full moon. And full moon is culminations and endings, right? And Uranus is in the mix. We've got T-squares happening. We have T-squares happening all month, but in particular highlighted at that full moon in Aquarius. So there's something up with regards to the income that you earn, and as well as your values. 2nd house can also be your possessions as well. Generally speaking, this full moon is going to be a wrap-up of some sort. And I mean, it could be. There are some Capricorns that are retiring, and people have this, in their minds, an unexpected, announcement that you say you're leaving your job, you're retiring, and it comes as a big unexpected thing for some people. Something unexpected could happen to you with regards to your income. And Uranus can be a bit of a wild card. It can go kind of either way. Your values may be shaken up at this time. For some reason, maybe something happens in your outer world that challenges your value system, and you have to make some decision and realize what your values really are. Are you being valued enough? Maybe you're going to shake up the company you work for and say, I want more money here. You're not valuing me enough, right? And it sets up a whole series of things around that full moon that maybe gets you what you want. All right. Take care of yourself, Capricorn. So Aquarius, that new moon in Leo, well, we know that it's opposite you, so we know it's the 7th house. So there's some new start for some Aquarians here. And the new start could be something like you getting married. I'm not saying that's going to be the same for all Aquarius. We do have a Mercury retrograde at that time. So the only thing I can say is that if you can avoid signing contracts, but if you're getting married, you're going to be signing one, you may have to go back and, correct some of the details at some point. We can't take Mercury retrogrades and literally not do anything at that time. There's going to be situations where there's a Mercury retrograde where you do have to sign off. I always say that as long as you've started the process before the shadow period and before the Mercury retrograde starts, whatever that event was, let's just say you are getting married. But the planning for all that happened months prior. So the actual event that happens on the new moon at the Mercury retrograde as well has been planned months in advance. Typically, I would say you should be okay. But, there could be some little snafu. So for those that are getting married, check all the details. Make sure you've got all the emails and messages that you've received. Look in your spam folder if you've been waiting for something, right? Now, we do have Pluto is still in Aquarius at that new moon. It's at 0 degrees, but it's still in Aquarius. So certainly if you've got something, for some Aquarians that have something around 0 or 1 degree Aquarius, this could involve some major transformation for you that will continue on and off for at least a year, right? Pluto stays and hangs around degrees for quite some time. All right, so the full moon in Aquarius, of course, is your sign, Aquarius. It's your 1st house. So there's some big shakeup here, Aquarius. There's no way of getting away from it. Big one or small one. We've got the sun together with a Mercury retrograde at this time, and it's opposite that moon in Aquarius. We have Mars and Jupiter exaggerating things potentially, because it's in the communication sign of Gemini, both of those squaring Saturn at this time. So there could be some confrontations here for some Aquarians where you've got to, challenge the authorities, challenge the rules and regulations. And maybe it's not a bad thing. Again, with the whole Mercury retrograde happening most of August, the big thing for you Aquarius is to check all the details, check all the communications, check all the contracts, and make sure that you understand what you're signing off on. Make sure that whatever you're saying is very clear for people at this time. And social media for sure, which is highlighted, by the sign of Aquarius, as well as humanitarian efforts, could be all highlighted here as part of this big surprise or big change of some sort for some Aquarians, right? Take care, Aquarius. So Pisces, that new moon in Leo is in your 6th house. So this could be some new start for you with regards to your health. For some Pisces, you may actually be starting a new job at this time. And for still others, that 6th house, is the house of service, but it's also the house of small animals. And so all these areas could be up for some new start for you. Generally speaking, I would read it for a new start with regards to either your day-to-day activities, if you are retired, or your job that you do. So there's going to be some Pisces that maybe you're going to be promoted at this time. Now, we're having a Mercury retrograde that same day as the new moon. So make sure you understand the details. The devil is in the details. So we say you are going to be taking up a new job. Could be within the same organization, or could be a completely new company you work for. Pay attention to the contract that you're signing. We can't always not sign contracts because it's a Mercury retrograde. So, we can't live our life around Mercury retrogrades. We still have to live our life. So for those Pisces that are signing on for a new job, just make sure you understand your obligations. That's just what I would say. And read carefully the contract, and anything you don't understand, ask for it to be cleared up. And maybe the whole month of August is going to have you, fixing the details as they should be or as you want them for this new job. But it could also have, that Mercury retrograde in the 6th house. Maybe you're taking on a new position and you've got to work hard behind the scenes collecting information to put something together, maybe a new work plan for people at work that need to be put together. And that's how you use the Mercury retrograde positively, right? You get the facts and information, communicate with people, get their opinions, to at the end of the month put together something that, brings together everyone's ideas. That's a great way to use Mercury retrograde in your 6th house. Yeah. Now for others, it could involve your health here, some new start with regards to your health is highlighted here, right? And maybe something involving children or creative project. Even you expressing your authentic self could come into the mix here with regards to your health as well. But it bodes well for you starting a new health regimen of some sort. But again, with the Mercury retrograde, just make sure that whatever you're communicating or whatever's communicated to you is clear. That's all. Get the details right. Now, when we look at that full moon in Aquarius, it's in your hidden house, the 12th house. Now, Pisces, you as a sign rule the 12th house. So I guess we could say this is a positive thing. There's a lot of fractious energy around that full moon and a lot of unexpected things and potentially events happening. And so I would just say that, for some Pisces, you just may have some unexpected things coming your way that you can't really plan for right now. We're still going to have Mercury retrograde at that time too. So there could be things that happen behind the scenes, or there may be something that you do behind the scenes. Aquarius does rule things like social media. It could also rule things like the internet, emails, that sort of thing. So there might be some Pisces that, are literally putting together some new system, maybe for the company you work for. And you have some unexpected snafus that happen that you've got to resolve, right? Now, it's just in the 12th house. You don't have a square or an opposition here. and you rule as a sign, Pisces, that 12th house. It could also have some unexpected things happening with regards to hospitals, anything behind the scenes, hospitals, government offices, ashrams. And I mean, I guess at its highest with Uranus in the mix here, some Pisces could be going on some, spiritual trip, say to an ashram. And the 12th house brings you some kind of illumination and enlightenment. But there could also be, for those Pisces that need a rest, the 12th house is the house of rest. Unexpected things happen that, help you get the rest that you need. Take care, Pisces. So Aries, that new moon in Leo is in a fellow fire sign. So we know it trines your sign beautifully. And it affects your 5th house. I love the 5th house. So this is some kind of new beginning with regards to what? A creative project. You expressing your authentic self. You having new love come into your life. Children in some way create a new beginning for you. So this could literally be, maybe, some people get pregnant, some people give birth at this time that are Aries, or it may just be a birth of a new creative project that you've wanted, right? It's going to have something that puts you in the spotlight, Aries, right? Because Leo is not a shy sign. It likes getting on that stage and strutting itself. It's not afraid to say who they are and what they are. So this new moon could literally have you on the stage, whether it's literally on the stage or metaphorically in front of people looking at you. And this may, as I said, involve some kind of creative project for yourself. Yeah, it's beautiful creative energy is what I would say that is favorable for you, Aries, overall. I know we've got a Mercury retrograde happening the same day. And again, just go back and make sure, say you're taking on this creative project, whatever the creative project is. Make sure you check the details if there's a contract that you're signing, that's all. But that Mercury retrograde could have, for some Aries, hammering out the details of a contract, and it takes all of August to do it. That's okay, right? And you get it resolved. Now, that full moon in Aquarius sextiles your sign, so these are now opportunities should you want to take them. And it involves your 11th house. So this is just going to straight off have you opportunities maybe to end unexpectedly some friendships. And I mean, this could simply play out as a friend says, I'm going to go back to my homeland, or I'm going to leave where I'm living right now and go live in a completely different country. And this was a good friend of yours, and they decided that that's what they want to do. End where they're living now and go live somewhere else. And so your friendship in some ways does end, right? Or at least it takes on a different hue with regards to communicating with them and being with them, right? So that straight off is the way it could happen. But it also give you opportunities to maybe change up some of the groups you belong to, Aries. Are you with the right groups that feature you, that support your creative, authentic self, right? That new start that you're making at that new moon. Maybe your friends or groups that you belong to aren't providing good support for you here, and you see opportunities to change up that area of your life. Now, the 11th house also can be your hopes, dreams, and wishes. So you could also have an opportunity here. Now, because it's a full moon, we're talking about a culmination of some sort and a wrap-up. So there may be some... there may be some Aries that look carefully at their hopes, dreams, and wishes and maybe decide to change those up now. That they see this is an opportune time for me to maybe reach higher, to feature my authentic and creative self more, and that you look carefully at your support system of friends and groups you belong to and realize you need to change those up, and you get this positive energy of a sextile to help you do that, right? But it is a wrap-up of some sort here, right? And I mean, there's going to be some Aries that maybe do wrap up some kind of dream or wish. And, all these things are individual and different for all of us, right? Our hopes, dreams, and wishes. Take care, Aries. So Taurus, that new moon in Leo squares your sign, as does the full moon in Aquarius. So squares are just challenges. They ask us to think outside the box. It doesn't mean you will not achieve something positive. It just means you're going to have to put effort into this. Maybe even seek outside assistance to help you overcome some challenge. So we're going to start off with a new start in your 4th house. So maybe this is, for some Taurus, you bought a new home. Or you've sold a home. And this now turns out to be this new start of yours in a home involves you, because you've got the Mercury retrograde, looking back at the details of whatever it is. We'll just say it's a new home that you've bought. And you're going to have to go back over the details and get them sorted out. And the sorting out is going to take the whole of August. That's okay, that you're going to have to go back maybe to the buyer, the seller, and maybe your real estate agent, and say, look, some of these details need to be worked out. Or that they're obvious right at the time of you buying the place, that you're going to take the month of August of checking off that list to make sure everything's taken care of before you take over that new home. And it's just a little bit of a hassle, but at the end you get the reward of a home, right? So the 28th of August is when Mercury goes direct. Typically I like to wait a few days after that, but that is when Mercury goes direct at 21 degrees of Leo. So yeah, you're just going to have to pay attention to the devil's going to be in the details for you, Taurus, right? Now, there could also be some new start with regards to a family member. Typically, we're talking probably about your mother. And it may be something as simple as, your mother's bought a new home. She's on her own, and something has gone wrong in the home that requires you to step in to handle it. That's another thing that could happen. Straight off, there could be just some family arguments happening where you've got to make a new start here and be featured to help resolve these difficulties that are happening in a family situation. And, those types of things can be tricky sometimes. Think outside the box. Maybe check in with someone who's an expert that can give you good advice, or even work with you to get some of the issues resolved. When we look at that full moon in Aquarius squares your 10th house, and that moon, as well as the sun, squares Uranus at that full moon, right? So there's some unexpected things that are going to be happening in your career. Yeah, that's just straight off. Unexpected things happening in, the whole job that you're doing. Now, this could play out as something that doesn't necessarily directly happen to you, Taurus. Something unexpected happens to, say, a CEO, a vice president, maybe even your top boss or manager that you report to. They suddenly leave for whatever reason. And it presents a challenge to you doing your career and your job. It's a culmination here, so it's an ending of some sort. For some Taurus, you're just going to say, I've had enough with this career, I'm going to end it. And it comes as a surprise to other people hearing it. Or something surprising happens with regards to your career that makes you decide to take some kind of action that will require a few steps to enact whatever it is you want to enact in terms of tying stuff up. So it may be that you say, for some Taurians, they want to end this career and job, but they can't just leave it right now. And so this square is saying, sort out all the details, make everything a win-win situation so when you leave, you don't burn a bridge. And that's one thing I would really caution you about, Taurus. If you are getting angry at work and upset at work, maybe by other people, try to take that 10,000-foot view and say, what can I do creatively here to resolve the issues and protect myself? And maybe it is leaving the career, that job. But take the time to also look around for unexpected opportunities, maybe in another career, because they may be there for you, right? Again, you're just going to have to put some effort into it, and that's okay. You can still get it resolved. But there's some unexpected things that are going to happen in your career that you can't really forecast for right now. Let's hope those are positive changes for you and that you land on some fabulous new career. You certainly have social media involved here, or a humanitarian component because it is in Aquarius. Take care of yourself, Taurus. All right, so for Gemini, that new moon in Leo sextiles your sign and it involves the third house. Well, this is right off the bat. Gemini having opportunities to do some writing. Opportunities maybe to do some short distance travel around your city, state, or province. Just opportunities maybe to do a lot more communicating, maybe even speaking. Maybe someone asks you to give a speech of some sort. Now, the only thing is we've got a Mercury retrograde happening the same day. So I would use this for those Geminis that are, say, asked to speak or to travel, maybe do short distance travel, or both, that you got to travel to give a speech. Just check all the details, right? If you're having to sign a contract of some sort, Gemini, don't sign it without reading it and maybe even get an expert or a second set of eyes to take a look at it. And this would be, the Mercury retrograde can also set up negotiations. That's a great way to use a Mercury retrograde, right? And don't forget, Gemini, you are ruled by Mercury too, right? So this will be important for you, whatever comes up. The third house is also, typically we look at education, but early education. So there may be some new opportunities, say, for some Geminis to maybe teach children, right? Maybe put together a whole course or something like that, or put together small courses of some sort. Opportunities to do something like that too. Third house also is our neighbors, like our neighborhood, as well as siblings. So quite simply, there may be some Geminis that are chatting a lot more to both their neighbors as well as their siblings at this time in a positive way, right? These are opportunities that you have to take or to leave. That's what a sextile is. I think overall, I look at that new moon for some Geminis because it's in Leo, to potentially shine with regards to some kind of writing project or communication type project where you shine. Like I said, Leo likes to be on the stage, right? Look at me. That full moon in Aquarius trines your sign. So trines are fabulous positive energy being beamed at what? Your ninth house. And so this is a wrap up of something to do with the ninth house matter. There's going to be some Geminis that can see the end of doing an advanced degree in a very positive way. And maybe you're even featured in a positive way. This is a wrap up and an unexpected one maybe in some legal cases for some Geminis. This could be travel. Travel maybe ends. Maybe you have to unexpectedly, end travel earlier than you thought. But it is a trine, so whatever, if that does happen, it'll be serving you. It can also be, planning for some travel here as well. So this could be maybe something ends unexpectedly that gives you some great energy to put in this fabulous travel that you want to take, but it's all going to be unexpected. Whatever unexpected things pop up at this time, they're going to serve you in a positive way because you've got the trine happening, but there are going to be unexpected things happening in those areas I've just mentioned. Now, jury duty also involves the ninth house, right? Because it's a legal house as well. And so there could be literally, you've been serving on a jury, and this full moon towards the end of August wraps up your jury duty, right? That can happen too. All right, looks like a positive outcome, whether it's the new moon or full moon for you, Gemini. Take care. So Cancer. This, both the new moon and full moon fall on an axis called the financial axis. The new moon in Leo is in your second house, and the full moon in Aquarius is in your eighth house. So we're talking here about new beginnings of earning money. So there's going to be some Cancers that, hey, you're going to be earning new money, maybe even with some famous people. Leo does represent fame, for instance. It can represent royalty, so you literally could be, some Cancers, getting an opportunity to work in that sort of realm of our world. But generally speaking, that's earned income here, new opportunities for income. Now, we do have a Mercury retrograde happening on that same day. The best way to use that for you, Cancer, say you are starting a new job or there's some new income opportunity coming in for you, I would say use the Mercury retrograde, which is going to be operating all of August, to hammer out the details, to work out the contract, to get all the details lined up so you understand it. And then at the end of August, you can pull the trigger and put your signature and date on the contract. So I know these are all going to play out in different ways for individual Cancers, but that's the best way that you could use this Mercury retrograde that goes with your new start, right? And the new source of income. But I would say this is positive for you, Cancer. Yeah. I mean, not many of us are going to say no to more earned income, right? Yeah, and I mean, Leo is also creative projects. It's expressing your authentic self. Yeah, so all these types of things could bring in new income for Cancers in a positive way, right? Now that full moon in Aquarius is going to be in your 8th house. And so there's some kind of shakeup here of some sort with regards to, I mean, at its highest, that 8th house is an inheritance. I'm not saying all Cancers are going to be getting an inheritance here. It's a bit fractious, the energy that's going on, and kind of unexpected pops of energy all during that full moon, even leading up days before the full moon. Is going to, on the 19th of August, is going to still have stuff happening here. But there's a lot of squares happening at that full moon. And I would say that you may just have to shuffle around some things with regards to shared resources, investments. And I mean, there may be things that, I don't know, sometimes if you buy you invest in CDs, they come up after a few years and you have to do something with them. It could be that a whole bunch of those things happen with regards to your investments that you have to take care of, right? But there could be something for some Cancers around an inheritance here that comes in unexpectedly. As I said, Uranus is very much tied into this full moon. Somehow you're going to have to maybe work something out. Now, you don't have any bad specific aspects with regards to your 8th house. It's just that there's a lot of fractious energy happening around the full moon that is in your 8th house, right? Yeah, it could be that you're going to have to look carefully at all your investments here and, you know, either cash some of them in or change them up. And it could be just that you'll have a financial advisor come in and say, you know, this is the time. We got to get this sorted out, Cancer, and that you have to take care of that, right? This is also, you know, the psychological house. And so, you know, at its highest, Uranus can bring in unexpectedly some big enlightenment for you. Maybe you have an aha moment that lights you up and makes you or helps you see things the way they are, right? For other Cancers, there may be just some big secret that comes out, either yours or someone else's. Well, Cancer, good luck with that new start with the income and that new moon in Leo towards the beginning of August. Take care of yourself, Cancer. All right, everybody. I'm wishing everybody a great time here in August. There's a lot of energy flying around. I only ask that you take care with driving with that Mercury retrograde, care with your words. If you are being irritated and you feel like you want to lash out, it doesn't mean you shouldn't say something. But I ask that, especially in the month of August, you take that 10,000-foot view and try to look at things as a win-win situations where you can put your thoughts forward and opinions, but respect others too, right? All right. Take care of yourself, everybody. Sending everybody lots of love. Bye for now. So I'd just like to remind all my viewers and clients of my services. You can find them on my website, of course, and all the details of that are below. But I do a tarot combo astrology reading for $50. It's my only pre-recorded one, unless specifically a client asks for me to pre-record a Zoom call for them. But I do other things too. I can do your just your transits and progress chart for this birthday year as an option. I can do a full-on horoscope look at all your astrology, including an in-depth analysis of your natal astrology and then progressed charts, and then all the transits on top of that, I can do that as well. So check me out. As I said, I've got all my details below. Send me an email with your birth details and a question or area of life that you're interested in me focusing on. I do a Zoom video, whether it's pre-recorded or live, with you to go over all these details.